Batman Forever, directed by Joel Schumacher, was a massive financial hit, able to successfully pivot the franchise away from the gothic tone of Tim Burton's films to a more profitable, neon aesthetic and campier vibe. Thus, Schumacher was given the green light for a sequel, and was urged to put out the next Batman film as soon as possible. Just 2 years after the hit Batman Forever, audiences would see what was in store for the dynamic duo in 1997's Batman and Robin. Hi, I'm Matt Braxton. Join me as I take a look back at the most controversial Batman film's inception, promotional tie-ins, a recap and analysis of the film itself, the film's reception, and merchandise. Get your ice puns ready as we take a look back at Batman and Robin. In 1995's Batman Forever was a financial hit, though critically divisive, and delivered a distinctly vibrant, neon-soaked take on The Dark Knight. Warner Brothers ordered the sequel on the heels of Forever's success, aiming for a June 1997 release. To hit that date, development was fast-tracked, a notable departure from the usual multi-year gaps. Joel Schumacher and screenwriter Akiva Goldsman conceived the story during pre-production on another project, working under unusually tight calendar pressures. Joel Schumacher, who had already reshaped the franchise's visual identity with Batman Forever, returned as director for the sequel.
We started planning in August of '95. I knew I wanted to do Mr. Freeze and Poison Ivy as the villains, and so we started with tear sheets, comic books, and discussions of what they would look like and how we were going to make Gotham City bigger, better, and what areas we were going to be going into.
The goal for Batman and Robin was clear: follow up quickly and go bigger. Joel Schumacher had a clear visual philosophy going into Batman and Robin. Expansive, saturated, and overtly comic booky in every detail. This was well in line with Forever's neon aesthetic, but turned up to 11. Production designer Barbara Ling took inspiration from sources as wide-ranging as Tokyo and the Machine Age, describing Gotham City as feeling like a World's Fair on ecstasy. The sets were elaborate, full-scale constructions with bold colors and stylized architecture that rejected realism in favor of theatrical spectacle. The go-big mentality was quite visible in the expansive nature and detail of the sets. This design ethos wasn't merely a choice made by Schumacher and Ling, however. Merchandising this time around played a big role in how the sets, costumes, and vehicles looked.
There was a real desire at the studio to keep it more family-friendly, more kid-friendly. And a word I had never heard before, more toyetic.
We involved the toy company. We let them look and be involved in how the Batmobile was going to look, how Batman's gadgets were going to be, which they wanted. This is key to them. They need a lot of lead time.
Warner Brothers involved toy companies in pre-production meetings. One of the defining instructions from studio executives was the mandate to make the film more toyetic, meaning designing characters, vehicles, gadgets, and props with merchandising potential in mind. This corporate creative influence is widely considered one of the major reasons the movie feels like a feature-length toy commercial.
First movie, things felt much sharper and more focused, and it just felt like everything got a little softer on the second one. The first one, I felt like I was making a movie. The second one, I felt like I was making a toy commercial.
Perhaps the most iconic production effort was the creation of Gotham City, once frozen by Mr. Freeze. Life-size sets were built and then covered in meticulously crafted fake ice, a process that took months of preparation and experimentation with materials like fiber resin. Frozen mannequins were even made to replace actors once frozen. When pre-production began, the first major change from the previous Batman film was the departure of Val Kilmer as the lead role. Batman.
Well, I agreed to do another film, The Saint, and they never called the agents and they never called me and told me they were going to go right into production inside of a year.
I was angry at Val and his representatives at the time because they let us know at the last second. That's what I was angry at. I wasn't angry that Val wasn't doing the movie. I was angry that we found out at the 11th hour.
Kilmer chose not to return, reportedly due to scheduling conflicts and creative differences. Though later sources seem to determine that Schumacher and Kilmer didn't work well together during Forever, so Schumacher recast the role. The studio considered several high-profile actors before settling on George Clooney, who brought star power and a lighter touch to Bruce Wayne.
I met with George Clooney, who was just great. He's just one of the greatest guys in the world. I thought he'd be a charming, handsome Batman.
There's a minute there that you go, well, do I want to be the third Batman in the fourth Batman picture? That can be a little worrisome because the other three were very successful and the only thing you can do is screw it up.
I think Joel wanted him not to be too serious in the Bat role, which is the way I think that he played it and felt comfortable playing it.
Michael started this and he made it his own. Batman was Batman, and Michael will always be Batman because of that. And then Val came in and did something completely different. And he was a darker, very strong, very brooding character. So for me, there weren't many options.
Because we were supposed to make a more family-friendly movie, I would make a gentler, kinder, kind of maybe not as depressed, not as tortured Batman.
Before a take, Joel would pick up his megaphone, his bullhorn, and go, "Remember, everybody, it's a cartoon." So that kind of set the tone and the style of Joel's Batman.
The whole approach was much more glossy and theatrical. It was all a totally different look to Tim's film, which was all dark and shadows. But I can also understand as you progress through 1, 2, 3, 4 films that maybe you have to change the look, otherwise the audience think, "Oh, I've seen this," So.
Chris O'Donnell returned as Robin, reprising his role from Forever, while Arnold Schwarzenegger was cast as Mr. Freeze.
Although I have seen all the other Batmans and I have enjoyed them thoroughly, Joel then turned to me and said, well, just so you know, I only can do this movie if you play Mr. Freeze. So, what are you gonna do?
And Uma Thurman as Poison Ivy.
To be a Batman villain is like, in the movies, in a comic pop kind of ways, it's sort of like an opera part. It's limitless. Someone said to me, you can't be too big and you can't be too small. But there's just, the opportunities are endless with the characters. And so it was just tempting. I've never done anything like it, and it doesn't come by very often.
A surprising addition was Alicia Silverstone as Batgirl, a character newly introduced to the franchise to appeal to younger viewers. And no discussion of Batman and Robin is complete without talking about the infamous costumes.
There's no way I can explain it to you other than I had no idea that putting nipples on the Bat costume were going to be international headlines. The inspiration from them are Greek statues that have perfect bodies. And so we're molding this perfect body in rubber because I didn't know that the male nipple was a controversial body part. Then I was left with the dilemma of what to do with Batgirl. Hers are a little subtler.
I didn't think twice about it. Although now I kind of look back in some of the pictures and I'm like, that is a little unusual, I suppose.
These choices echoed Schumacher's pop art approach, intended to evoke comic book illustrations rather than realistic armor.
In comic books, they draw very beautiful, anatomically perfect people in very alluring costumes, and we owe that to the audience.
For Mr. Freeze, the costume department faced a unique challenge, creating a practical, memorable suit from scratch.
Surprise!
Schwarzenegger's armor consisted of hundreds of pieces and thousands of LED lights, a complex and costly undertaking. The costume itself looked amazing. Principal photography began in September 1996, just a year after the release of Batman Forever, but a month later than initially planned.
Okay, roll cameras. We're rolling. We're rolling cameras, rolling. Okay, action, Rick.
The production spanned multiple locations, from Warner Brothers Studios in Burbank to international shoots in Vienna, Montreal, and Ottawa. Despite the relatively short filming schedule considering the scope of the sets, stunts, special effects, and international locations, filming wrapped ahead of schedule in January 1997, though not without hiccups. The set had many extras and visitors, with Chris O'Donnell mentioning it felt like a zoo. Because of the many people on set, a Batman Proper 2 was bound to go missing. One early incident involved a prop disappearing from the set, prompting a police investigation and intense security concerns due to paparazzi interest.
I mean, suddenly every single car that left that lot, they were searching trunks, everything, every car for weeks. People were so mad that they were filming Batman on the set because they were so sick of having their cars searched.
Studio security and I decided that we would put up a metal detector. And we had a very large crowd that day, somewhere around 200. I think we got 500 cameras from 200 people. They had cameras stuffed everywhere.
One of the Batman heads turned up missing. They caught a guy on the set one day that, had a hidden video camera, and it was like a sting operation. I mean, it was unbelievable. But it kind of all added to the mystique of the movie and the production.
Visual effects were a major component as well, with Batman and Robin featuring 450 individual effects shots, significantly more than Batman Forever. Techniques ranged from practical miniatures to motion capture for stunt sequences. The infamous skyboarding shots were recorded in a wind tunnel. Elliot Goldenthal returned to compose another sweeping, theatrical soundtrack, facing success with his Forever score. The film became a landmark example of how studio demands, creative vision, and pressure to sell toys clash. But before we look at what many consider a mess of a film, let's look into the promotional tie-ins and marketing in the lead up to this divisive film's release. Gearing up for the release of 1997's Batman and Robin, Warner Brothers backed the film with a major marketing push, spending over $125 million.
Of all the challenges he must face, none is so determined, so relentless, so diabolically ingenious as you. Taco Bell introduces the Unmasked Batman game. Just peel back Batman's mask to reveal Bruce Wayne, and you can win cash. One of millions of prizes, or even a Batmobile, instantly. Yeah! Only you can unmask Batman, only at Taco Bell.
One of the most prominent tie-ins was Taco Bell, which ran a $20 million promotional campaign, offering Batman and Robin-themed collectible cups, toys, and figurines at its restaurants. Several Six Flags parks added Batman and Robin-themed rides timed with the film's release. Batman and Robin: The Chiller debuted at Six Flags Great Adventure in 1997, with later Mr. Freeze-themed coasters opening at Six Flags Over Texas and Six Flags St. Louis in 1998. The stunt shows were also once again updated to include the latest Batman film's villains.
Set your watch, because only 24 hours until we take you inside Arnold Schwarzenegger, George Clooney, Chris O'Donnell, and Uma Thurman's top-secret Bat World.
In February 1997, the film's theatrical trailer debuted on a major broadcast, Entertainment Tonight, helping build awareness months before the film's summer opening.
The set was top secret. Virtually no one has seen this before. It is the world premiere of Batman and Robin.
My name is Freeze. Learn it well. 'Twas the chilling sound of your doom. Please, show some mercy. There's honor, partnership, and loyalty. Freedom and justice. Partnership. On June 20th, it all comes together. We're going to need a bigger game. Batman and Robin.
I suspect we have just seen the next series of action figures to come into our homes, Bob.
Just look for the hockey team from hell to be at your house soon.
TV spots and print ads ran wild, leveraging the colorful comic book aesthetic of the film and emphasizing its star power and action sequences. As mentioned, many reporters and others were desperate to get in, to see the sets and report on any new Batman findings and news they could manage to uncover. The sheer volume of promotions and partnerships, from fast food campaigns to theme park coasters, reflected Warner Brothers' attempt to make Batman and Robin a major cultural event and merchandising juggernaut, an attempt that was seen with each prior Batman entry. The company's goal of renewing the feeling of Batmania in fans. And in June 1997, those fans would head to theaters to see the next big Batman blockbuster, Batman and Robin. The film opens with flashy opening credits. After referencing the previous film,
I want a car.
The car, right? Chicks love the car.
Chicks dig the car.
This is why Superman works alone.
Do try and bring this one back in one piece, sir.
the dynamic duo head off to stop Mr. Freeze from destroying a museum.
Please, show some mercy. I'm afraid that my condition has left me cold to your pleas of mercy.
Hi, Freeze. I'm Batman.
You're the heroes!
Freeze and his goons steal a massive ruby in an over-the-top ice skating battle.
You get the ice, I'll get the Iceman. Thanks for playing. I was hoping you'd drop in.
Then Freeze traps Batman in a rocket, sending him up into space. Robin jumps on the rocket.
Freeze well.
After the two escape, surfing through the sky, Freeze uses his ice cannon on Robin, freezing him solid.
Stay cool, bird boy.
Batman chooses to stay behind to save his friend, rather than continue to try and apprehend the villain. Though subject of much criticism due to its campy nature, the larger-than-life introduction to Mr. Freeze and the updated dynamic duo and their costumes would lay the groundwork for the poppy, colorful, and action and camp-packed rest of the film to follow.
Rats! My experiment to mate the Dendronium orchid and the South American rattlesnake have failed again. But I still have high hopes.
The viewers are then introduced to Dr. Pamela Isley, played by the wonderful Uma Thurman, where she discovers her experiments attempting to create animal-plant hybrids are being sabotaged by her boss, who would steal her venom samples for his own experiments. Curious Isley sneaks into Dr. Woodrew's lab to see a group of world leaders bidding on his current experiment. An experiment revealed to be a man, pumped with a steroid compound called venom to become a hulking figure. Bane. Dr. Woodrew spots Isley and asks her to join him in his experiments, to which she refuses.
Sadly, I'm not good at rejection. I'm afraid you'll have to die. Yes. Let the poisons and toxins burn a grave for you deep into the earth you love so much. Bye-bye, dear.
Bruce and Dick discuss Freeze's origins.
After his wife contracted a rare disease, McGregor syndrome, he hoped to freeze her in a cryogenic sleep until he could find a cure. Now,
That's gotta hurt.
that liquid is 50 below.
How he requires diamonds to power his suit, which keeps him alive. And Freeze's main motivation, saving his wife. The two devise a plan to use the Wayne family diamonds to trap Mr. Freeze.
We gonna trap ourselves a snowman?
Absolutely, right after you spend 10 hours in the simulator training.
And it's revealed that Bruce still doesn't trust Dick out in the field due to his impulsiveness.
Look, I made a mistake. I'm sorry. Don't go all protective on me. It's not gonna happen again.
Reckless, and you almost got killed by Freeze tonight.
I'm fine. See? Me, here, alive.
Alfred, revealed to be aging and growing ill, advises Bruce to trust his partner.
You must learn to trust him, for that is the nature of family.
I trust you, Alfred.
But I shan't be here forever.
In the following scene, Pamela Isley is resurrected with a mixture of plants and venoms that supposedly killed her. Resurrected as Mother Nature herself, Poison Ivy. Ivy's death and resurrection is, though much more quickly paced, highly similar to that of Selina Kyle, Catwoman, in Batman Returns. Ivy notices her old self's experiments were funded by Wayne Enterprises and takes Bane to confront Wayne himself. In a comedic scene that I enjoyed as a kid and still do today,
I'm Mr. White Christmas. I'm Mr. Snow. Turns to snow in my clutch.
Come on, sing!
Too much.
Louder, come on, sing!
Freeze tells one of his henchmen of his goal to freeze all of Gotham, to hold the city ransom in exchange for billions in research funding, to save his wife. Alicia Silverstone's Barbara Wilson, Alfred's niece, shows up at Wayne Manor to visit her uncle. After getting the green light to stay at Wayne Manor for her visit, she sneaks out at night, stealing a motorcycle from the shop. The following day, Bruce holds a press conference for Wayne Enterprises' donation of the world's most advanced telescope. There it is revealed that Bruce has a new girl. Nicole Kidman's Dr. Chase Meridian from the previous film was no longer in Bruce's life. Instead, Bruce's girlfriend is revealed to be Julie Madison, Bruce Wayne's original love interest in the comics. Ivy approaches Bruce in her Dr. Isley costume, handing him a packet of ways his company could cut emissions. The two hold a politically toned down but important conversation about the dividing opinion over necessary fossil fuel consumption and need to preserve the planet, portrayed between real-world opposing sides, business leaders, and the general public, especially those with a strong sense of environmental justice. Though Poison Ivy's desires are too radical, Bruce Wayne doesn't even look at the package she gives him, and instead invites her to the charity event he intends to trap Mr. Freeze at. He doesn't even try to cut emissions based off of a well-researched analysis from a professional botanist. Portraying Bruce Wayne on what could be considered by most as being on the wrong side of environmental justice is an interesting choice by the film, showing that heroes might not always consider justice in abstract ways.
I'm wondering if we are really all that far away, maybe, from some of the fringe elements of the eco-terrorist groups out there. Any comments on that?
I don't think so. I think this is a completely unrealistic portrayal, and most people who are out there for the environment are doing it for the sake of saving mankind, because the Earth won't be able to support us if we don't support it. So I think it's a very important point to make that this is a comedic, funny, extreme, far-out Batman concept. It is absolutely no realistic relation to any people who are struggling to protect the Earth.
The trap for Mr. Freeze begins, where millionaires and billionaires gather to bid on women. Poison Ivy interrupts the bidding, using her toxins to attract the men in the room.
Are you familiar? It looked to me like there were lots of obvious allusions to things like Blonde Venus with Marlene Dietrich, when you take off the gorilla head.
Yeah, Joel definitely, I think, was into the Blonde Venus image. I mean, that's directly from Blonde Venus. If you look at the Batman film, I mean, the references are endless.
Yeah.
There's constant lines that are references to everything from TV commercials to classic movies.
People begin bidding on Ivy, even Batman and Robin.
$1 million. $2 million.
You don't have it.
$3 million. I'll borrow it from you. $4 million.
$7 million.
And the film switches from camp to cringe.
Never leave the cave without it.
You two boys aren't gonna start fighting over little old me now, are you?
Freeze shows up, stealing the diamonds. Batman and Robin fail to stop him, and Freeze gets away. In a larger-than-life car chase, Batman finally captures Mr. Freeze, who is sent to Arkham Asylum. Bruce has a dinner with Julie, where she tells Bruce she can't wait around forever for him to propose. Despite the circumstances, he can't stop thinking about Poison Ivy. Dick catches Barbara sneaking out again and follows her to discover she's been engaging in motorcycle races for cash. She tells Dick that she was using the money to save up to help pay for Alfred to escape his life of servitude. In a rare moment when the audience gets a chance to feel some of Mr. Freeze's heartbreak, attempting to give more depth to the character than backstory and ice puns alone, Poison Ivy breaks Freeze out of Arkham. His suit is gathered from the evidence room, where the previous film's villains and other Batman villains like Mr. Scarface and the Mad Hatter are referenced. Following the Arkham escape, the audience is treated to a heartwarming scene between Bruce and Alfred, where Bruce presses him for hiding his illness for so long.
Now I can get you the best doctors.
I have seen the best doctors.
Have you ever regretted your life working here?
Looking after heroes? No, sir. My only regret is that I was never able to be out there with you.
Well, not all heroes wear masks.
Batman and Robin head to Freeze's headquarters, where Poison Ivy tries to kiss Robin with her toxic lips. Batman realizes why she wants to kiss them so bad and stops Robin from kissing her. This upsets Robin under the influence of her entrancing pollen. Humiliated, Robin storms away. Batman and Robin, the dynamic duo, are no more. Poison Ivy then unplugs Nora's cryogenic tank. She tells Freeze that Batman unplugged Nora, and the two agree to freeze the city for Ivy to repopulate with her plants.
Yes. If I must suffer, humanity will suffer with me. Yes. Adam and evil.
Oh. It is then revealed that Alfred has the same condition as Freeze's wife, McGregor syndrome, though a much earlier stage. Alfred gives Barbara a black box containing the secrets of the Batcave and Batman, meant for his long-lost brother to take over as the Dark Knight's butler.
Hey.
Bruce has a touching moment with Alfred.
I spent my entire life trying to beat back death. But I can't save you.
There's no defeat in death. Victory comes in defending what we know is right, while we still live.
I love you, old man.
And I love you too.
Access allowed.
Barbara cracks the password on the disc, learning the Batman's secrets, and Freeze begins his hostile takeover of the world's largest telescope to use the device as a gun to freeze the city.
You weren't talking about being partners, you were talking about being a family. So I'm asking you, friend, partner, brother, will you trust me now?
Batman and Robin head to Ivy's hideout.
The construction of the wigs, the adding of the sculpture on top of the head would take a while, but...
It's fun to watch that appearance of yours change and develop throughout the film.
Mm-hmm. Well, I thought it was, basically to take it in the way that she goes more and more mad.
Yeah, exactly.
As she escalates and becomes more, power hungry and insane.
Joined by Barbara, now Batgirl, they defeat Poison Ivy and head onward to stop Mr. Freeze once and for all. Mr. Freeze uses the telescope to freeze the city. And the trio decide to reroute sunlight using satellites to thaw the city out. After a quick fight with both Freeze and Bane, the trio are successful in thawing the city. Batman tells Freeze his wife is still alive. Freeze then agrees to help Batman save Alfred. Alfred rises, now healed thanks to the trio and Freeze's help, and the three heroes, given their success, agree to be partners. Batman and Robin was a film proving once and for all that yes, nothing is too big to fail. Batman Forever was a major success, but instead of learning from the film's shortcomings and perfecting the follow-up, it seemed that the creatives behind Batman and Robin amplified every mistake of Batman Forever. Too much spectacle overshadowing quiet emotional moments. Batman and Robin turned up the dial. Corny one-liners and excessive camp. Batman and Robin turned up the dial. Set pieces being a little too over the top to the point of camp. Batman and Robin turned up the dial. Lack of emotional scenes and narrative depth altogether, even despite the material they were working with. What might sound emotional on paper? Alfred, Bruce's adoptive father, dying? Batman and Robin turned up the dial. Think about it. What is the message of the story? What do the characters learn? While there's hints and messages like how some might go too far in their quest to protect the environment, and how unmonitored experiments can go wrong, there is only one meaningful theme apparent throughout the film: family. Throughout the film, Bruce jokes about how he doesn't like to be part of a team and argues with Robin. But upon facing Alfred growing sick, nearly dying, Bruce is confronted with the need for family, even adding a new member to the team, Batgirl. Batman also wants Freeze's help to save Alfred, his adoptive father. At the same time, Mr. Freeze is fighting to save his wife, Nora, only going scorched earth or frozen earth when he believes Batman killed Nora. Poison Ivy is fighting for the plants, so in essence, each main character is fighting for something or someone they love. Family. The question is, what would you do for those you love? While the message sounds fine on paper, great actually, the film employs so many one-liners, so much spectacle and so much camp, almost focused entirely on anything but the message, but the emotional moments, that the few and far between emotional scenes fall completely flat. The one scene between Bruce and Alfred, when Bruce discovers his adoptive father is about to die, still falls so flat. If as much time was put into developing the writing and characters as was put into making the film toyetic, it might not have been such a bat bomb. Batman and Robin premiered on June 20th, 1997, earning a respectable box office total of $238 million worldwide, but was widely seen as a box office disappointment relative to its massive budget.
Batman Forever kind of crept up on people. Batman and Robin was so overhyped from the minute we said we were going to do it that I think that backfires many times. You know, when you're supposed to be a blockbuster, then you have to be.
Critics and audiences alike criticized the film's script, tone, and over-commercialized feel. Critiques that would push Warner Brothers to inevitably rethink the franchise entirely. More specifically, critics blasted the film's campy tone,
Stay cool, third boy.
excessive one-liners, and toy-friendly spectacle, arguing that the grim, brooding atmosphere that once defined the Batman had been replaced with a bright, superficial carnival of puns and over-the-top set pieces, completely disregarding narrative depth and meaningful drama. Audiences at the time echoed such sentiments, which translated into a steep second-week box office drop. In fact, the reaction was so strong that it spilled over into the awards season, but not in the celebratory way most studios hope for. Batman and Robin received 11 Razzie nominations, the most of any movie that year, including for Worst Picture, Worst Director, Worst Screenplay, and Worst Supporting Actor and Actress nominations for several cast members, with the film ultimately winning just one Razzie for Worst Supporting Actress, Alicia Silverstone as Batgirl. The Stinkers Bad Movie Awards, another tongue-in-cheek award program, gave Batman and Robin several honors, including Worst Picture, Worst Director, Worst Supporting Actress, again to Silverstone, and Worst Screenplay for a film grossing over $100 million using Hollywood math. All wins that underscored just how much audiences and critics alike despised the production. However, there were a few genre-based nominations that acknowledged the work put into the film. At the Saturn Awards, Batman and Robin was nominated for Best Fantasy Film, Best Costume, and Best Makeup, recognizing the design work and production value, despite the shortcomings of the story, character writing, and tone.
I think because a lot of critics bashed the movie, I think they overlooked Uma's performance, which I think is great.
Interestingly, the cast and filmmakers themselves have reflected publicly in interviews about working on the film.
I have two kids that I adore. They're 8, they still like me. And I know there's time. Believe me, once they see Batman and Robin, it's over.
George Clooney, who stepped into the role of Bruce Wayne in Batman with high hopes, has since described Batman and Robin as a disaster, admitting in interviews that the experience taught him invaluable lessons about role selection and creative responsibility.
This is a true story. My son, for Halloween, dresses up as Batman this time. No idea that I'm Batman, right? And I said, yeah, I was Batman. And he's like, no. I'm like, he has no idea how right he is. None.
Silverstone and O'Donnell have both acknowledged how quickly the enthusiasm of the press tour shifted to awkwardness as reviews and audience reactions poured in, though they've also expressed appreciation for the film's cult appeal in later years, particularly among fans who embrace its campier aspects. Over time, Batman and Robin has settled into a complex legacy. For many, it remains a cautionary example of how blockbuster filmmaking can misstep when spectacle overtakes substance. Yet for others, its over-the-top visuals, terrible one-liners, and camp have granted Batman and Robin a second life as a cult favorite who find joy in its outrageousness. When Batman and Robin hit theaters in June 1997, it wasn't just a blockbuster movie. It was also a massive merchandising event, trying to recapture the success of Batman Forever's merchandising campaign, which itself was successful in recapturing the massive wave of Batmania during the first film's summer '89 release. From action figures to video games, a wide range of products were produced to let fans take Batman and Robin home with them.
Blasting into action with the secrets of the Batcave, Batman and Robin. Mr. Freeze launches a shivering shockwave, but heat-scan Batman deploys his thermal sensors. His ice-pummeling projectile makes Freeze sweat. Next, Robin's ice armor and blade launcher make Freeze pay. And now, the blazing Bathammer lights up the night, ready for the final fight. The Bathammer sends a frozen fiend to a massive meltdown. The secrets of the Batcave are yours, Batman and Robin. Figures of Bathammer each sold separately, batteries not included.
The action figure line, once again produced by Kenner, then part of Hasbro, was one of the most prominent merchandising methods, as seen with the prior Batman films. Kenner released a 5-inch action figure series starring the characters from the film: Batman, Robin, Batgirl, Mr. Freeze, Poison Ivy, and more. Vehicles like the Batmobile and Batcycles were adapted from their on-screen counterparts, why the film was intentionally made to be toyetic, to integrate the on-screen vehicles and characters directly with the toy lines. In addition to toys, the film spawned multiple novelizations, adapting the screenplay into book form. The main novelization was written by Michael Jan Friedman, while Alan Grant wrote the junior novelization. The official comic adaptation was written by famed Batman author Dennis O'Neil, as was the case for the prior comic adaptations. And just like the prior films, Batman and Robin's theatrical run was tied in with video game releases. Batman and Robin on PlayStation was released in 1998.
I really am to die for.
Just like the Batman Forever adaptation, PlayStation's Batman and Robin was developed by Probe Entertainment and published by Acclaim. The game allowed players to select either Batman, Robin, or Batgirl as their playable character, and then place the chosen character in an explorable Gotham City ripped straight from the look of the film. Unlike earlier Batman games, it attempted a semi-open world structure, allowing players to select missions, gather clues, and use vehicles such as the Batmobile. If the player can't uncover enough clues in time, it's game over. Critics at the time acknowledged the game's ambition, particularly its attempt to move away from traditional linear beat-em-ups. The developers learned their lesson from their clunky and cryptic Batman Forever game. However, reviews were still largely negative. Critics frequently cited poor controls, strange and awkward camera angles, and poor frame rates that made navigation and combat frustrating. While some reviewers appreciated the effort to innovate within the Batman franchise, the execution was widely considered flawed. A Sega Saturn port of the game was cancelled before release, as Saturn support declined in Western markets, and the poor reception of both the Batman and Robin film and PlayStation version. Probe also developed a port of the Batman and Robin game for the Game.com, a handheld gaming device capable of internet connection from Tiger Electronics. Think of a DSi, but with the chunky look of the Atari Lynx. The Game.com itself was criticized for poor internet optimization and hosting a small library generally consisting of the worst ports of games, though stacked with popular IP. This Batman and Robin port was, in fact, a worse version of the PlayStation game. A heavily simplified adaptation using static backgrounds, limited animation, and stylus-based input. Critics generally judged the Game.com version within the context of its platform's limitations, pointing out that the game's visuals, while basic, attempted to reflect the characters of the film, though detail was minimal. Negative reviews related to slow gameplay, unresponsive controls, and sparse sound design. The first-person batarang throwing segment was a little monotonous, but a neat idea. Many reviewers felt that the hardware itself hindered the experience, and while the game was acknowledged as a recognizable Batman product, it was rarely recommended. In fact, modern commentary often cites Batman and Robin on the Game.com as one of the more notable examples of the system's struggles to compete with other handheld systems. I mean, just look at the ending. The player just jumps and hits the telescope a bunch of times and it's over. How anticlimactic.
I will turn Gotham into an icy graveyard.
Put the freeze on Mr. Freeze when you get your hands on the ultimate crime-fighting machine. The new Batman and Robin joystick handheld game. With Batman at your fingertips, you've got total control. With kicks, punches, and throwing stars, you polarize Poison Ivy. Meltdown! Batarang Bane into isolation and chill out. The deadly Mr. Freeze. I knew you'd get a charge out of that. The Batman and Robin handheld game with new Batman joystick. Batteries not included.
Lastly, the only version of Batman and Robin to be released alongside the release of the film was Tiger Electronics' LCD handheld version. Like other Tiger Electronics titles of the era, the game featured pre-drawn character sprites, simple sound effects, and fixed gameplay patterns rather than animation. The gameplay was simple and repetitive, but the character art and branding successfully evoked the film. Tiger's LCD Batman and Robin was also given a version on the R Zone, mirroring Batman Forever. The R-Zone was a universally despised head-mounted system that projected red LCD graphics onto a piece of plastic near the player's eye. This caused eye strain with players for games that were, as was the case with the Batman and Robin game, nothing to write home about. Tiger also released these Giga Fighter Tamagotchi-style keychains that allowed players to link together and use their LCD Batman characters to train and fight. Across the few versions and ports, Batman and Robin video games are often remembered as products of their era, shaped heavily by tight deadlines and the intense commercialized push of the film, serving as examples of how ambitious ideas and recognizable licenses were often undermined by such limited development time and hardware constraints. Good games take time, especially when upping the technological capabilities with every release. Though it was clear the Batman movie tie-in games supported less and less consoles, focusing effort on just a few by the release of Batman and Robin, the rushed nature of the film and focus on spectacle over substance clearly bled into the video game tie-ins. Despite many fans' distaste for the film, Batman and Robin continues to inspire merchandise even decades later. Today, companies like McFarlane Toys have released new collectible figures based on the Batman and Robin movie designs, featuring detailed sculpts of George Clooney's Batman and Chris O'Donnell's Robin. Currently, the official DC store is also selling Batman and Robin hats and shirts, as well as a 13-inch Mr. Freeze figure. The figure is hyper-realistic, including the wingsuit add-on, and lights up using a USB cable. The cool figure comes with a hefty $400 price tag. And lastly, though Clooney still pokes fun at his Batman portrayal and the overall film to this day, George Clooney's Batman didn't just star in one single film. At the very end of 2023's DC Extended Universe film, The Flash, just when Barry Allen thinks he restored his universe back to the way it was, before he tried to go back in time and save his mom, only turning his world completely upside down, Batman appears to talk to Barry.
Who the is this?
Hey, Barry.
George Clooney's cameo as Batman was entirely unexpected, and played somewhat tongue-in-cheek for those that were critical of his singular Batman film.
No, where's... You... No, you can't. You're not Batman.
What's wrong with you?
Well...
Though fans speculated the short scene that was teased would have showcased Christian Bale's Bruce Wayne return, it was still nice to see George Clooney return to the Batman role, or at least give a wink and a nod at the tail end of the DCEU film experiment. However, nothing encapsulates the long-lasting legacy of not just Batman and Robin, but all of the 80s and 90s era Batman films, as during the 2024 Oscars featuring Mr. Freeze, the Penguin.
How did Batman beat you?
Oh, he used my one weakness against me.
Heat?
Love.
Oh. He threw me out a window.
Batman, that son of a bitch.
Where is he?
Yeah.
He's here.
I hate him.
There he is.
I hate
He's right here.
And the original Batman himself.
You have a lot of nerve to show your face
Well,
around
you
here.
got, you know.
Son of a bitch.
You are a real beak breaker.
Regardless, the continued production of Batman and Robin merchandise and George Clooney's unexpected return in The Flash prove that despite the critical takes on the film, Batman and Robin, just like the other prior Batman films, has a long-lasting legacy. intense negative critical reception for Batman and Robin directly led to the dissipation of any hope for a sequel. Thus, just like Burton, Schumacher ended his Batman directorial run after just 2 films about the Caped Crusader. Despite this, however, plans for a Batman and Robin sequel were in development. This is everything known about what would have been Schumacher's 3rd Batman installment, Batman Unchained. Sometimes referred to in fan circles as Batman Triumphant, Batman Unchained was partially developed during or immediately after Batman and Robin's production period, with a target release around summer 1999. The unfinished film was designed to shift dramatically from the colorful, campier tone of Batman and Robin towards something more psychologically complex. Jonathan Crane, the Scarecrow, was set to be the film's primary antagonist, using his fear toxin to psychologically torture Batman. Nicolas Cage was one of the lead considerations for the role, and in the script, Scarecrow's toxin caused hallucinations in Batman. Past film villains such as the Joker, Penguin, Catwoman, Two-Face, and Riddler would appear in a trial-like sequence, putting Batman himself on trial in his own mind. This hallucinatory rogues gallery climax would have been one of, if not the most expensive sequences Schumacher planned, especially if Jack Nicholson and other high-ticket actors would have been paid their expected rate. Harley Quinn was also to be in the film, though in this version, Harley was reimagined as the Joker's daughter, driven by revenge against Batman for killing her father. The film was to culminate with Batman confronting his deepest fears, with the final scene reportedly showing him in a bat-filled cave, an idea that later found an echo in Chris Nolan's 2005 reboot, Batman Begins. Batman Unchained never entered formal pre-production or filming due to the poor critical response and box office underperformance of Batman and Robin, which caused the studio to reassess its strategy for Batman films, to shelve further Schumacher projects, and ultimately reboot the franchise. The influence of Batman Unchained was noticeable in the narrative of the next film about the Dark Knight, a new film with a new Batman and a new director. Batman starts over fresh in a whole new, more grounded world. In 2005's Batman Begins. In the years since its release, Batman and Robin has achieved an interesting sort of cultural immortality. Not as a masterpiece, but as a disaster, a cautionary tale. Its overly campy nature and poor character writing caused very poor box office performance, directly influencing the studio's decision to shelve further Batman sequels for nearly an entire decade, until Chris Nolan's Batman Begins rebooted the franchise with a darker, more grounded atmosphere. Batman and Robin itself stands as a clear example of what happens when toy sales and studio mandates overshadow creative ambition, and why storytelling, character-driven writing matters, even in comedy action blockbusters. However, with an army of Bat merchandise and tie-in products, fans know that if they ever need to take a break from the darkness, they can always go back to a lighter, goofier take on the Caped Crusaders. Batman and Robin.
I remember years ago, Jerry Weintraub introduced me to Colonel Tom Parker, who, discovered and managed Elvis. And he told me that Elvis was such an icon that after Elvis died, he could just send the suit around the United States and make a fortune on the suit. Batman is like Elvis. It's really the suit that is the star, which is not to take away from Michael Keaton or Adam West or George Clooney or Val Kilmer, but it's Batman who's the star. And Batman's going to go on long after us. I'm not worried about Batman.